Hi there. This is another one of the places where people sometimes get stalled, often in the second half of the first year. It's the phase I call when the earth stops shaking. And the client who came up with that phrase is actually one of my examples, primary example, because this is exactly what she experienced. She came into the group one night and wanted to know if she was depressed. She was asking herself whether she was depressed. And the reason was, and the only reason she was because she felt she was losing interest in the things she used to do. She'd been a nurse, and after retiring, she and her husband moved into a senior living facility. And she raised her hand for every volunteer thing that was asked. Anytime they were looking for volunteers, up her hand went. She was on every committee. I don't know, every committee. She was on a lot of committees. She was doing a lot in this community. And after her husband died, she just lost interest. She didn't want to go to meetings, and that's understandable in the first few months. You're just not going to do those sorts of things necessarily. But if she got into 6 months, and I think it was actually early for this to kick in, for most people it would be a few months down the line. But she was very, very self aware and had done a lot of therapy before she hit the grieving. So that always helps. But she was very concerned that she didn't want to do the things she had been taking pleasure in for a number of years. And so we explored it. And I'd been watching her, and I'd been watching her engage in things, and what really told me she wasn't depressed. I had no sense of her being depressed, by the way. I wasn't at all concerned about that. But the things that really made it perfectly clear to her and to me was that yes, she had lost interest in those things, and they had become burdensome. They had become things she felt like she had to do. And there was a big piece of work that started that night and continued for several months to put the damn to do list in the drawer and leave it there because she really didn't want to do those things. But what she was interested in, really interested in, what she really wanted to be doing, and there was real enthusiasm here, which says that's not depression. She wanted to spend time with her daughters. And especially, she wanted to travel with them. And in fact, starting somewhere around 5, 6 months, they did start traveling quite a bit, the three of them. And she took such joy in that. And one of the daughters, as I recall, was into dog rescue, rescuing dogs, worked for a shelter or something. And so this client was taking a real interest in that. She was a dog lover, and she was taking real interest in her daughter's shelter activities. So it hit I want to spend time with my daughter, and it was also time with dogs. Didn't get any better than that as far as I'm concerned. So other things were replacing the committees. Yay! Other things, really meaningful things. And it largely revolved around her daughters that mattered more than the committees. So she was really finding something deeper within herself that was more meaningful for her than participating in all of these volunteer activities for the community. Makes sense? And ultimately, the best before she left the group was her daughters took her to a Pink concert. Here's this woman, she was 84 years old, and she had pink in her hair, and she and her two daughters went to see Pink, and they had the time of their lives. Now that is reinvesting in life. That's getting pulled back into life, enjoying life, and making it meaningful and fun. She had a blast. So it wasn't that she lost interest necessarily. She did in those old things, but they were replaced with new interests. And that's something I think that often happens. That the things you used to do, or things you did with your spouse, sometimes you did them more for your spouse than because you really wanted to. So after they're gone, maybe you might do them as a way of remembering them, but they're not, they don't get your juices going. They don't get you excited. What I love about this story is that the things she was replacing the committees with were fun. They just lit her up, absolutely lit her up. She was having a good time. And this was before the first anniversary. And again, I think she was early. And I remember saying to her, this is hitting sooner than it usually does. It's usually more 9 or 10 months that this question would come up. But here she was. So it wasn't depression, it was evolving. It was becoming more authentically who she was and engaging in activities that really, really mattered to her. And that they hit that combo of her daughters and the activities both being really meaningful, so much the better. So try it. So if you're feeling like, I don't want to do that, don't want to go back to work, that happens a lot too. We decide we don't want to do what we were doing, time to change careers, that happens. You don't have to do it right away. I'd wait a little bit, give it some thought, but you can find something that is even more meaningful than what you were doing before and take real joy in it. And that's what we're after here. The death, it's profound, it's horrible, it's awful. And yet out of that, we become like the phoenix rising, that there is life after that. And it may be several years before you fully embodied that, but it often starts somewhere in the end of the first year. So pay attention. Pay attention where your interests are. Pay attention to what interests may be surfacing. Just notice them. You don't even have to do anything with them. But don't misinterpret new interests and lack of interest in other things as a sign of depression. It's not. Depression would be just losing interest and not taking any real pleasure in anything else. I think that's the key there. If new things are coming in, new interests are emerging, that's a really clear sign it's not depression. Yeah. It is possible, I think, to lose interest in things that you used to do without having an immediate replacement. I think that's possible too. So it may not be that the new things are coming through just yet, but it may just be that the old things aren't as meaningful as they were. We take death is like a magnifying glass on our lives and what really matters. And if we have been spending our time doing busy work, volunteering for committees, we really don't want to do that stuff anymore. We want to do something more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, whatever it is for you. But don't be quick to call it depression, because it probably isn't. Okay? Till next time. Bye-bye.